I'm Dr. Michael Weiner. I'm the principal investigator of the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, which we call ADNI. ADNI is the largest project aimed at understanding the progression from normal aging to mild memory problems to Alzheimer's disease. The study's goals are to improve how doctors diagnose and treat a patient with Alzheimer's disease and to provide data to researchers around the world. ADNI shares our data with researchers without delay, which means faster advances to improve our understanding of the disease, and our open data sharing has resulted in more than 5,000 publications. Our data has helped in the development of the first FDA-approved treatment for Alzheimer's, and with your help, we can have an even bigger impact. The study involves more than 2,400 participants who are recruited at approximately 65 sites throughout the United States and Canada. The participants include completely normal, healthy people, patients with mild cognitive impairment, and patients with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. What we want to show you in this video are the various steps that occur as the participant goes through the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging, or ADNI, project. I'm participating in the study myself as a healthy volunteer participant because I want to assure you that it's an enjoyable project to be involved with and that the risks are extremely low. When a participant becomes part of this study, there are a series of steps or procedures which they would undergo. The first, and you could argue the most important, is the consenting process. In the consenting process, the participant is explained the study fully. They're told everything that's going to be done and how long things will take. They're explained all of the various risks. The risks are not very serious, but there are some minor risks associated. They're explained the benefits, and then in the end, the participant has to sign what we call informed consent, which permits the scientist to do these procedures. Once we have informed consent, then the participant is asked a wide variety of questions. Some relate to simple things like age and gender and family history of Alzheimer's disease. Others might involve daily activities or questions about memory, various functions, questions about mood. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you depressed? In other words, we want to have a complete picture of each individual and what their capabilities are and what their past history is and what their education has been, for example. Then we draw blood because we use blood tests for a wide variety of measurements. Another thing we get here at ADNI is we get genetic information. We take your DNA from the blood, we analyze it, and measure the various genes. And the purpose of this is to see to what extent genetic risk participates in the development of Alzheimer's disease. The next step, which is optional in this study, is the lumbar puncture. The purpose of the lumbar puncture is to obtain information on the chemicals that are surrounding the brain, because there's a layer of fluid that surrounds the brain, and this fluid has chemicals in it which relate to Alzheimer's disease. The only way we can obtain these chemicals is by doing a lumbar puncture in which a needle is inserted and draws out cerebrospinal fluid. I've had one of these lumbar punctures, and it's not really very bad. There's a little kind of a pinprick when they put in the Novocaine back under the skin, and after that you don't really feel anything. I'm always a little surprised when they tell me it's over because I didn't realize that they'd even done it. We do MRI scans and then PET scans of the brain to measure changes that occur in the brain during the progression from normal aging to Alzheimer's disease. MRI means magnetic resonance imaging. So the imaging is an image of the brain. The magnetic is the fact that the MRI machine consists of a very big magnet. The beauty of MRI is that it's completely non-invasive, does not use X-rays, does not use anything that is hazardous in any way. It's completely safe, but it is a scanner. That is, you go into the scan room after you've been screened for metal, they lie you down on this table, which is reasonably comfortable with a pillow, and then after you're properly positioned, you go inside the magnet and you lie there for a while. I usually go to sleep at that point, but if you're really claustrophobic, this may not be for you, and you may not qualify for this. The procedure is not that long for this study. It usually takes about an hour, and the time goes by quickly, and by then they pull you out and you're done. With amyloid PET scanning, the radioactivity sticks to the amyloid in the brain. So we have a scan of the amount of amyloid that's in the participant's brain. Participants will have the option to learn the results from this amyloid PET scan if they would like, and a clinician will explain what that means. Amyloid is a protein produced normally in the brain. In people with Alzheimer's disease, amyloid increases abnormally, causing amyloid plaques to form. Amyloid plaques are one of the first signs a person may be developing Alzheimer's disease. The buildup of amyloid can trigger other changes in the brain that lead to Alzheimer's disease dementia. This includes the buildup of another protein called tau. It is thought that amyloid plaques trigger the buildup of the tau protein into tangles. Tau is a protein that spreads in the brain and damages nerve cells. It takes many years for amyloid and tau to build up in the brain, and many years after these brain changes have begun for problems with memory or thinking to occur. A tau PET scan is similar to the amyloid PET scan, in which a radioactive substance is injected. You lie in the scanner. This is a very important and very exciting way to track the progression of Alzheimer's disease. You might be concerned about radiation, but the amount of radiation that you get from these PET scans is very small when you compare it to the amount of radiation we get just on a daily basis walking outside in the sun. We use neuropsychological tests to measure the ability of people to think. There's all kinds of thinking. There's mathematical thinking, there's language thinking, there's musical thinking, there's problem solving. And we have a variety of neuropsychological tests that people take to remember different sorts of things. Solve some problems, draw pictures, do things quickly. All of these tests are a measure of how well the brain is working. Some tests appear to be quite difficult, and people can feel frustrated dealing with these tests, but they are purposefully difficult. I find some of these tests incredibly difficult to perform. I think my brain is working okay. But that's the way the tests are designed. After the visit to the clinic, some people will be asked to join the ADNI online study to do short follow-up visits from your own home. We'll be using a study website to check in with eligible ADNI participants. On the study website, participants will answer brief questions about themselves and take a short memory test. Every 6 months, our ADNI study team will email them when it's time for your next online visit. These online follow-up visits take less than 20 minutes, and participants will be sent a $25 electronic gift card for each online visit they complete. There are a few benefits to joining ADNI. First, by participating in the study, you're making very important contributions to medicine and science and helping us advance our understanding of brain health and Alzheimer's disease as people age. You'll also be paid for the different procedures you complete at your study visits. You will have the option to learn the results from your amyloid PET scan if you like, and the clinician will explain what that means, especially concerning your future risk for developing problems. Another specific value to you is that any significant medical condition that might be detected would be reported to you. Sometimes we find things that can be corrected, and they weren't picked up on your routine medical exams. It's completely private. It's between the patient and the study, so all the information is kept completely confidential, and there's no information from the study would affect your future insurance coverage or future medical care in any way. I just want to emphasize that the entire procedure is of extremely low risk. We're interested in people who are completely normal, completely healthy, like me. People who have mild memory problems, or what's called mild cognitive impairment, and people who have dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. So we want the entire range of people over the age of 55 to be considered in this study. I really hope that you'll strongly consider joining the ADNI study as a participant as I have. You know, I have a mother with Alzheimer's disease, and she died with it. I'm also a scientist involved in trying to develop effective treatments for Alzheimer's disease. By all measures, ADNI has been a huge success. It's the largest project funded by the National Institutes of Health on Alzheimer's disease. It's been going on almost 20 years, since 2004, and over 2,400 people have participated. And now we're trying to recruit another 750 people across the United States and Canada. This is a very exciting project. It's a very important project working towards developing effective diagnostic tools and treatments for Alzheimer's disease, and I hope you will join and encourage your friends and family to join the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, or ADNI, as participants. Thank you.